I felt compelled to talk. It's April 20th, 2025. It's Easter. And the past couple of years have been trying to grow my relationship with Jesus Christ, with God. I guess you could say the Bible version of God. Well, in my opinion, it's the only God, not the Bible version of God. And He's been working in me so much. And I was blessed to have grown up in a church environment. My parents, I guess, they were Christians. They went to Bible churches and whatnot. And obviously, I feel like most of us that grew up in that type of environment, we stray away and we begin to learn more about ourselves and what we actually believe. Some people stay on that path. Some people walk away from it. Some people find other things. For me, as far back as I can remember anyways, as far as my beliefs go, I remember out of 5th, 6th grade going into 7th grade, starting to feel super emotional and, not taking God very seriously. It was just a whatever type of thing for me, I didn't give it much thought. I was just living my life or whatever. But going into 7th grade is when I started to experience a lot of mental illness, a lot of darkness, a lot of depression, a lot of feeling like I didn't fit in, a lot of feeling like I was stupid, failing in school, hard to get along with people at school, eating lunch in the bathroom at school. You hear that story all of the time from a lot of people. I was one of them. And it progressively just got worse and worse as school, progressed all the way up until, all the way through high school. I'd take mechanical pencils and just scratch my arms to look like I would cut myself just for attention, because I didn't have the balls to actually cut myself. But I don't think I've ever told anyone that before. I'd just find random objects to carve things into my skin to hurt myself. Well, that was a problem I used to have. But the biggest problem in my life back then was dealing with what I call the darkness, or an alter ego, if you will. And basically that kind of became my new God, because it made me feel good. And it is so hard to explain exactly what it is. It was just kind of like a very dark feeling that I would lean into. It was as if I was a way more powerful version of myself leaning into this darkness that I felt like gave me some sort of power. That's really all I know how to. It was very demonic, to be completely honest with you. And I even gave it a name. I called it Shadow Me, because it was me, and it was essentially just a reflection of myself. Maybe not a reflection, but a different side of me. And so Shadow Me. And it was bad. It was really bad. And parts of me feel like that got me through a lot of things in life. It gave me what I felt like confidence. It gave me this, it gave me that. I felt like it was making me a better version of myself to act, I guess maybe negatively or rebellious Like started just being kind of not necessarily a bad kid. I was raised by a beautiful set of parents that did a lot for me. But I don't know, I guess maybe I was just trying to find my identity or figure out who I was, or maybe I was angry at the world for all of the problems that I was going through. And I just kept leaning on this shadow figure. Which ultimately led me to find other things in life to help me not feel the way that I felt, which was everything that I stated, depressed and full of rage and anxiety and all these things. And I started drinking and smoking weed a lot after junior year high school. And then a lot of people on my channel already know this, but straight out of high school is when one of my best friends since third grade kind of introduced meth into my life. And then a lot of people, like I said, know that I ended up getting addicted to meth for like 8 years, and really struggling with that. And it wasn't until that same friend, which was also my dealer, and a very back and forth relationship. I won't get into that. I've talked about that already, but basically he was just like, you need help, after 8 years of using and me being completely out of my mind. And so that's when I went to rehab in Florida, and I stayed in Florida for like 3 years trying to get my crap together and become this new version of myself. Up until then, I had always gone by Jacob Isaac McCollum. And then as soon as the first time I got to Florida and went into rehab, I wanted to like reinvent myself or completely start over and build a new life for myself that was sober from drugs, was trying to get away from shadow me, and just trying to purify myself, if you will. And so I started going by Jake. And I've gone by Jake ever since then. And in rehab, what I did to get clean was use the 12 steps among a lot of trial and error, like with other recovery methods as well, trying to figure out what works for me, trying this, trying that, going to a ton of meetings, reading books, and then finally, after a couple of years of doing the whole recovery thing, I kind of winged away from that, still practicing it, but not, being so involved in recovery, I guess you could say. I'm still a firm believer in it, and I believe that it has a lot to do with how I got sober, but ultimately, circling all the way back around to God and Christianity, I don't think I would have been able to pull off saving myself from death and drugs if it wasn't for God. When working the 12 steps, Jesus was my choice, and was my step 3, I believe it was, if I'm remembering correctly. Giving your life over to a higher power. And ever since then, I've continued to struggle. I'm not going to sit here and say that things automatically got easy after that. If anything, they became extremely hard, because I had to start to learn how to deal with all of those things that I had been dealing with 8 years ago. But now, I'm 26. I would have been 26, and it's been 8 years, and now I have all of this on me that I'm having to deal with, all that anxiety, depression, shadow me, now, this drug addiction, and I'm having to deal with all of this at the same time. It was too much for me to handle, and I really needed God, and I believe he really helped me to get through it. To this day, sometimes I don't even understand how I'm still alive with everything that I went through. through those 8 years of drug addiction. It doesn't make any sense to me why I'm still alive. Sometimes I wake up and don't believe that I'm still alive. A part of me feels like I did die, but God somehow just kept me alive, and I'm just, it's hard to explain, but I really didn't start taking God super seriously until maybe about 2 years ago. You know, I'd always kind of just be in and out about God. You know, sometimes praying, sometimes going to church, you know, things like that. But I wasn't like serious about it, you know. Like I said, until about 2 years ago, where I would actually start to wake up a little earlier just so I could open my Bible and read a little bit of it and pray a little bit. You know, and I did that for a long time, just trying to study the Word and trying to find, I guess, meaning in life. But for me, the meaning is to serve God and to live for God. That is what I think the meaning of life is. But I still felt like maybe, I don't know, I think I wasn't all in. And so I would still have, I mean, even to this day, I still have my doubts about all of this. But like, even 2 years ago, I was still, you know, going through pain and things. And I just, throughout this 2 years, I've really been trying to figure out like this whole God thing, because my belief is there, but it's like, am I really taking it seriously and giving him my whole heart? And it wasn't until maybe like a couple of days ago where I was just like, what does it look like to give all of me to the Lord? Not just like half in, half out, you know? Because I got to a point, I mean, on my last video on my YouTube channel, it was basically just me completely broken, completely just down in the dumps, no money, still living out of my car, no job, don't know where to go. I'm like at a freaking rock bottom here, and now I'm, you know, since getting clean at 26 years old, I'm almost 33 now, and I still feel like I don't have much going on for my life. It's been kind of the same repetitive cycle. You know, there's a lot of things that I'm proud of myself for, but it always just seemed like there was still something missing. And I can tell you right now that what that was. It was Jesus. You know? And I just felt the need to share all this because I just feel so full of God's love right now. And it feels so good. A really cool thing happened earlier. A lot of people know I'm studying Japanese a little bit and whatnot, and as a little kid, I was always kind of just like into Japanese culture and anime and manga, and as I grew older, I kind of strayed away from it because responsibilities, getting older, going outside, playing with friends, etc. But I recently kind of got back into it to relive that because it's something I'm passionate about. And so I started watching Naruto Shippuden, and you know, a long time ago when it was still airing, I maybe got through halfway through it, and I stopped, and I never got to finish it. And I've always been a fan of it, and it stopped airing on March 23rd. 8 years ago is when the final episode, the finale, came out of Naruto Shippuden. And what's crazy is I was scrolling through Instagram on March 23rd of 2025, and you know, I follow a couple anime, you know, manga, that type of profiles on Instagram and noticed that, Naruto's anniversary was on that day, and I was like, man, I've been looking for a way for me to, add a way for me to study Japanese. And so not only am I doing this and that for my studies, but also immersion, like being able to hear it and watch some anime would really help with my learning Japanese as well. And so on the same day that Naruto stopped airing and finished, I started to watch it again. And so now I'm like 147 episodes in. I've been watching for like 34 days now, and I'm loving it. I get to listen to it in Japanese. And here's the craziest part. It's just God's timing, I feel like. March 23rd of 2018 was the day I started living out of my car. Like, how freaking crazy is that? Like, that can't just be a coincidence. Like, are you serious? And then I used drugs for 8 years. And it's like, how much time has gone by since the finale and then me starting to watch it? 8 years. I don't know. Am I schizophrenic? I don't think I am. I really don't think I'm schizophrenic. I just think that it's God. And I have just so many more stories that off the top of my head I can't come up with. Well, maybe I do have one story where God, I just feel like, has worked in my life, and I want the same for everybody else. And I just want to share how good God is and how He's helped me how God has helped me to honestly stay alive. Because I'll say it again, I don't understand how I'm still alive. I tried to kill myself for 8 years straight using meth. And it wasn't just the drug, it was the situations I was putting myself in, all of the dangerous people I was putting myself around. It's honestly just mind-boggling, and it makes me want to share how crazy it seems, because I mean, how good is God, Like, it's just hard to wrap my head around, And I just had to share all that, and I pray that God continues to remind me all of the times that He revealed Himself to me, so I can share it more with y'all, because there are so many times, even in my 8 years of drug addiction, where things could have easily gone wrong, but God got me out of some situations. I've had people try to drug me. I mean, the list goes on and on. I almost overdosed, but literally I was like, God, please give me a sign. I don't want to die. And it immediately started raining. I think I maybe have told that story. That happened the second time of trying to go to rehab. I drove my car all the way back from Texas to Florida while using meth the whole entire time. It took me like 3 days. And then when I got there, I ate an entire bag of meth, and I thought I was gonna die. And I was like, God, please help me, please help me. And immediately after I said that, it starts to downpour and rain, and the rain cooled me off. And that's just one example. And I want God to reveal Himself the same way He's revealed to me so many times, but for everyone else and for you, who's ever watching right now. And I don't know, I guess that's just kind of my Easter message to everyone, that on this day he rose. They murdered Him. They murdered Jesus 3 days ago on Good Friday, and then He rose from the dead today. And I just want you to know that Jesus loves you, and He died for you, and I love you too.